Today we're going to be talking about, well, I guess we're going to be talking about mass adoption again, because we love the mass adoption conversation, um, in this neck of the woods. The first thing that we're going to cover today, is Tether and their new stablecoin. But before we kind of launch into the news and start breaking things down, I do want to remind you guys, if you're catching this on the YouTube, please do subscribe. We drop a lot of content quite regularly, and it's very varied content. So if you want to be notified about what is actually being posted when, let's say you're a fan of the technicals, you're a fan of Simon, you want to see, every time there's a technicals video, you want to be notified, hit the bell because you're going to get a notification. Hit like if you enjoy these videos. If you don't, leave a comment, tell us why. Check us out on Twitter as well. Leave a follow. We do notify you guys about the streams, but also there's just a bunch of really interesting and valuable, I think, content, just across the board. If you guys are joining us live, welcome once again. Hope you guys are having a lovely Thursday. Let's crack on with it. So it's Ezra today. Once again, Ezra Regera from 6 hours ago. I'm gonna do the usual thing and reload the page and see if it was actually 6 hours ago. Fantastic. So, Tether launches stablecoin pegged to pesos of all things, on Ethereum, on Tron, and on Polygon. The announcement highlighted that this may spark the launch of more peso-backed stablecoins within the region. So, amid market issues surrounding stablecoins, that's an understatement of the century, Tether, USDT, launched a new digital asset. But it's not going to be pegged to the dollar. It's not going to be pegged to, it's going to be pegged to the Mexican peso on Ethereum, on Tron, and on the Polygon networks. So on Thursday, there was an announcement that was sent to Cointelegraph, in which Tether mentioned that the token is going to have the MXNT ticker, and will join Tether's roster of fiat-pegged stablecoins, which includes USDT, which is pegged to the dollar, EURT, which is euro-pegged, and the CNHT, which is pegged to the yuan, the Chinese yuan. Citing data that reports blockchain and crypto demand among Mexican companies, the stablecoin issuer believes that there is a unique opportunity to provide a cheaper option for asset transfer within the region. I love that. According to Tether's CTO Paulo Ardoino, the rise in crypto usage in Latin America has pushed their decision to expand. Fantastic. He explained that the introduction of a stablecoin pegged to the peso will give those in Mexico a way to store value. Apart from this, Ardoino believes that MXNT can minimize volatility for those looking to convert their assets and investments from fiat to digital currencies. I think this is a really, really great move. As we've covered in a lot of the pretty much any news episode that talks about mass adoption, it's important we talked about the CAR, what it is, the moves that these guys are making in the Central African Republic. Degen to DeFi transition. That's something we're going to see majorly, happening in the future, in the sort of near future. We're going to see a lot of people transitioning from fiat into digital currencies in terms of their investments. People trying to move their money from, just a savings account where you're losing so much money because of inflation. You're not even saving, you're literally losing your money because of inflation. People are going to move away from that towards like a digital currency. Companies are going to move away from older systems and move into blockchain integration, because it's faster, it's more efficient, it's trust verifiable. There's just so many boons, so many positives to the digital asset space, that we're going to see a lot of people, a big influx of people. And what is the Latin American kind of scene saying about this? It's saying good stuff. It's saying the right things, I think. It seems like they are kind of getting ahead of this jump, which is always a good thing. Always a good thing. We'll have to see how it plays out, obviously. And there's a lot of weird sentiment around stablecoins now because of that whole snafu with Luna. just in general though, I mean, I think this is quite good in the mass adoption conversation. This is quite good because what does it show? It shows a regional, national level of understanding of the importance of digital assets to the people, right? The growing sort of prevalence of digital assets and cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology and stuff like that. DeFi as an umbrella term, right? The prevalence of DeFi, but also the fact that that prevalence is growing. And on top of that, the fact that that is growing exponentially. This is what it shows me, right? This is what this article shows me. The team also highlighted that the move will add value to the emerging market by providing a testing ground for onboarding new crypto users in the region. Additionally, they noted that this may also set a precedent for the launch of more peso-pegged stablecoins. Earlier in May, USDT showed some signs of stress as it traded below. Okay, so USDT trading news traded below 99 cents, below $1 on some of the major exchanges, but the CTO, Paulo, assured the community that they are able to withstand the redemption of 300 million USDT tokens in a day without a sweat drop. People redeemed 300 million tokens in one day. Cool, pretty badass. They didn't sweat. Cool, no sweat. On the same day, the firm also announced the transfer of 1 billion USDT from Tron's blockchain into Ethereum and Avalanche. The chain swap was announced amid market panic because of the recent collapse of Terra USD, UST and Luna, that whole situation. So bearish sentiment, but in general, in the long term, overall, it seems like people are doing the right things, making the right moves, listening to the people. That's something we'll get into in another kind of article as well. This one up here, the ECB president's anti-crypto comments and how they kind of sparked a little bit of outrage. It says triggered the community. I hate that word, but like outrage from the community because like, what are you on about, mate? Type of sentiment, you know? I think, that's kind of a nice segue, but there is also a nice segue to be made into this article, which talks about financial inclusion for the unbanked. But since we've mentioned this one, I have quite a lot to say about this. So let's go into this one for a second now. So it's Ezra once again, telling us about the ECB president, who made some anti-crypto comments recently, and got a lot of responses from the community. So ECB, that's the European Central Bank, right? And Christine Lagarde, what she said effectively on a Dutch talk show was that crypto is worth nothing. And why did she make this claim? Because there's no underlying asset that backs the currencies. Again, value is very conventional. We convene and we give meaning to things, right? But let's break down the article first before we put opinions on it. The crypto community has fired back at ECB President Christine Lagarde for the recent anti-crypto remarks she made, with people expressing disappointment and even criticizing the euro. As crypto markets show signs of stagnation, Lagarde reminded the world of her stance on cryptocurrencies. According to her, cryptocurrencies are worth nothing because the assets are, quote, apparently based on nothing. Additionally, she expressed concerns for those who invest in crypto and called for regulation. Responding to these comments, the crypto community expressed their sentiments. Sheila Warren, once again, she makes an appearance, CEO of the Crypto Council for Innovation. She said she's not surprised, but she is disappointed to hear Christine say these kinds of things. According to Sheila, the new digital economy is going to run on a combination of digital currencies, including crypto, stablecoins, and CBDCs. That's the real crux of the issue here. This is kind of like the word that people like Christine and Janet Yellen and all these kind of entrenched institutional people, the people that hold the reins for now, this is the kind of operating word for kind of wresting control, I suppose, or attempting to mitigate the potential or possibility for true financial freedom for all human beings across the board on this planet, right? That's kind of the operative word. A CBDC. Hey, fellow kids, look at me. I'm Steve Buscemi from that movie. Regulation and then CBDCs. What is it they're trying to do? A central bank digital currency, a centralized, decentralized bit of finance. So what Sheila is doing here is saying that there is a place. I think if I was to read between the lines, I would say it seems to me like Sheila is saying there is a place for your plans. Like don't knock things, don't knock things completely. The new digital economy is going to run on a combination of digital currencies, not just one or the other. It could be a mix of crypto stablecoins, and there could be a place for CBDCs as well. But the new digital economy, we cannot kind of dispute the fact that this is happening. This is happening. It's been happening at the rate of growth that it's been, that we've been seeing. It can only go up from here. And all of these mass adoption bits of news talking about the people, and look at the response. Look at the response, man. It's like it's not just these two people arguing the point. It's about the spread of humanity. It's about humanity and what humanity wants. Because at the end of the day, governments serve humanity. They're civil servants, which I think is a point that's been forgotten quite a lot recently. We treat these people like they're celebrities when they are meant to serve us, the people. But that's a tangential point. I digress, and I apologize. Meanwhile, crypto analyst Lark Davis, good old Lark. This right here is Lark of the Lark Report, isn't it? That we have access to in the Cobras. If you guys need access to that, we've got that as well. According to Lark, this is what Lark's take is on it. ECB president made. What are you on about? ECB President Christine Lagarde said, "My very humble assessment is that crypto is worth nothing. It is based on nothing. There is no underlying asset to act as an anchor of safety." I think she just described the euro, printed out of thin air. I mean, really, isn't everything kind of conventional? The euro, the dollar, fiat in general, any unit of value has value because all people get together and decide that it has value. You could make the case that the dollar is the biggest lie. The value of the dollar is the biggest lie that is being upheld. The biggest kind of like collective, let's all just ignore it. We're all aware of it, but let's just, whatever. Let's just ignore it. It does, it is a point to be made. Very interesting, very interesting. Sharing a video showing Lagarde admitting that her son trades cryptocurrencies. Oh dear. Byzantine general called her a dinosaur. That's not nice. Byzantine general tweeted, "How do these dinosaurs not realize it's over for them?" Honestly, even Lagarde's son owns crypto. Why keep fighting the future until your last breath? Well, I mean, we saw this with Warren Buffett. It's because wisdom has an expiration date, but wisdom is not self-aware. That is the problem. Wisdom is not self-aware. It doesn't know that it's wrong. It doesn't know when it's like a bottle of milk that is going to spoil, but it still thinks it's perfectly drinkable and perfectly applicable to the world. So, if you think you're a genius, but you're wrong because you were a genius 40 years ago, and it's the future now, old man, you're not going to be self-aware enough to understand things. So obviously, you are not going to stop expressing the opinions that brought you to the place of being viewed as someone with wisdom. You're not going to stop that because you think, okay, I've been doing this all my life and it's worked for me. Why would I stop? Right? This is what people like Christine and people like Warren Buffett and all these detractors from Bitcoin, from not even Bitcoin, from Bitcoin, from the technology itself, from decentralization, all these detractors. This is the why. This is what I see. It's not because they're bad people. I don't think it's because they're nefarious and they're like, hey, I'm rubbing my palms together. I'm gonna be so much more richer. Look at me after I criminalize the Bitcoin. That's not. I don't think they're sitting there rubbing their palms together and trying to criminalize Bitcoin. I think it's just they probably think they're doing the right thing for the world. But like I said, wisdom has an expiration date, and wisdom is not self-aware. But let's take a look at this.
There is this graph about the balance sheet of the European Central Bank and the money that is on there now. And here it is. What I would like to show our viewers and ask the question about is, this is going over 8 trillion euros now. And isn't what you just told us about the cryptocurrencies, don't we see a gigantic bubble here on your balance sheet with the euro? Isn't this graph very nerve-wracking?
Well, I can tell you that there is 0 crypto assets in the balance sheet of the ECB.
That I know.
Point number one. Well, I just don't want any ambiguity about it.
Yeah.
But you have to think in terms of counterfactual. If we had not decided on March 18th, when we put together the pandemic emergency program and then subsequently increased the volume of commitment that we made to the European Union economies, we would be in a devastated situation. So I don't regret any of that move that we took.
Cool, that wasn't the question though.
On that day, which was 4 months into my job, to significantly increase the size of the balance sheet, because that's all we had.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the economy would have collapsed, and it would have been even accelerated by a financial crisis.
You had to do it. It was the COVID crisis. You say that's what we
Yes.
needed to do. But how do you get it?
It will
back?
come. It will come.
It will come.
In-
Oh my god, Christine literally said soon come. Christine literally said when. Oh wow, she just said soon come. Goes to show, I'll let you guys form your own opinions on it. I'm gonna retweet this. If you're following the Cobras, you'll see it. You'll see it at some point. Cool. So that's Christine's opinion. That's Christine's opinion on Bitcoin. Wow, really goes to show. Earlier this year, the European Commission announced that it's preparing a digital euro proposal. Of course it is, for 2023. The ECB is so that's a CBDC effectively. The ECB is expected to have a prototype by the end of 2023, and if everything goes well, it may be issued in 2025. Just in case you're catching this for the first time and you don't know what a CBDC is, it's effectively so it's decentralized finance, right? So it's kind of a cryptocurrency, except it's not decentralized. It's centralized and it's controlled and regulated by a bank or by a government. And there's a lot of concern that comes with that. There is regulation, there is safety, but there's also the fact that people can literally, like, your government can geotag you, your government can stop you from making payments if you've exceeded your quota of cigarettes or something. Like, it can block you from that. It can basically, I mean, those can be good things, but that control, it's just a question of control. It's just a question of freedom, effectively, is what it is. But then again, on the flip side, I don't want to be just a complete shotgun in the woods uncle, survivalist person and be like, oh, the government is out to get me and there's dinosaurs in my teeth, or I'm not gonna go to the dentist because they're gonna put a tracker in my face. Like, I walk around with a frigging supercomputer that literally spies on me every second of every day, all the time. And it makes my life more convenient. The advertisements I see are geared towards me. Sometimes I see things that are interesting, right? So I'm not a complete detractor for no reason. Okay, I do see that regulation is a good thing. It's important. It's safety. You know, if regulation was an established thing in the space, a lot less people would have suffered because of the Luna crash. A lot fewer people would be, you know, you'd see much less people getting taken advantage of by all these greedy little, you know, rug pullers and people like that. So to a degree, you know, regulation is a good thing, but freedom is also a very good thing. So it's about striking a balance is what it is. So they're proposing a digital euro, and they're expected to have a prototype by the end of 2023. And if everything goes well, it may actually be in circulation by 2025. We'll just have to wait and see, to be fair. In April, the ECB executive Fabio Panetta gave some details on the central bank's research into central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, as I said before. According to Panetta, CBDC issuance may become a necessity. However, the executive noted that these digital currencies should not become a source of financial disruption that could impair the transmission of monetary policy. in the euro area. What does that mean? CBDCs should not become a source of financial disruption. They shouldn't disrupt the transmission of monetary policy in the euro area. So it shouldn't mess things up any further than they currently are, effectively. Okay, let's take a look at why they say that it's a necessity. What does this link to? So Panetta has said that it may become a necessity. This links us to an article about what these things are. That's a bit weird. Panetta is not mentioned on this page. That's a bit strange. Okay. This is a really, really good piece of content. Yeah, do your research into into CBDCs. We'll cover this on an education segment of the Cobra Education as well. On a different day, we'll do that, because I feel like that there's a lot of good things to kind of be discussed there. So let's go back to what did I do with that article? Bear with me 1 second, yeah. There we go. So like I said, we'll take a look at the CBDC stuff in a Cobra Education episode on a different day. But this is basically the sauce on the ECB president's comments, and the community is not happy with her at all. People are ripping into her, ripping into the euro. You know, everyone is forgetting about the psychological aspect regarding the ability to actually trade goods. Okay, never mind. That's what is he saying? Crypto is nothing on the large scale if you were only to consider that. Maxis are ruining Bitcoin. Okay, interesting. Maxis, he's talking about maximalists. This is something that was covered as well. Michael Saylor was talking about this. Crypto sentiment, effectively. The based on nothing attack is intellectually lazy. Gold became money because it met parameters of money better than anything else in the natural world. I guess, yeah. Scarcity, right? Supply and demand. Then Satoshi coded perfect money that met those parameters exactly. Bitcoin isn't backed by anything because it is the thing. Ooh, I like that. That's a nice... This tweet go hard, because it does. It's a good point. It's a very good point. Even if Bitcoin was based on nothing, it'd still be a better money than fiat currencies, which are based on debt, servitude, war, blood. I did see this point. This is a point to be made. You know, people talk about the economic cost of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. What about the human life cost of defending your interests, defending the oil that keeps your dollar afloat? What about the children that die? You know, I feel like, I don't know, man. I'm not saying we should sell out the environment. But I'm also saying, you know, let's not pretend that all of this fiat money is let's not pretend that it's like this, you know, fine and dandy, namby-pamby nonsense that is just really, really perfect and beautiful in rose-colored glasses. It's not. It's brutal. It's ugly. It's gross. It's blood money. So, you know, there is that question as well. Is it better to kind of use a bunch of electricity, potentially push us, give us a why, give us an impetus, because everything is profit-driven, give us an impetus to actually chase sustainable clean energy? Is that such a bad thing? Maybe not. You know, it doesn't seem like a bad thing to me. It doesn't seem like that bad a thing to me. Hi, I'd like a wake-up call. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold for 50 years. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Spread of opinion. Go through Twitter. Twitter can be toxic and loud and just a horrible place sometimes, but it can also give you a spread of human opinion, which is always a good thing. So in general, I would say mixed. I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I am definitely, I wouldn't say I'm a maximalist per se. I care about, yeah, maybe I am. I don't know. I don't want to label myself, but the point is, kind of bearish stance, very bearish stance, FUD, you know, FUD creator type stance, and the community is not supremely happy with it. Also, this whole thing about CBDC issuance becoming a necessity, I want to find out where he said this and why he said it. because I think it'll be very telling, because you're going to see this rhetoric a lot in the future. And I want you to safeguard yourself against rhetoric in general, right? Because it's important. You're going to see this grow. Like I said, we're going to see an influx of people and of popularity in this space. And the people that are kind of the people who stand to gain from blockchain technology failing, why would they say what they're saying, type thing. So I wanna kind of break that down at some point. But in the interest of time, because it's 10 p.m. already, and we've talked a lot, let's move on to. Let's talk about this one. Why decentralized messaging apps will replace today's social media platforms. I'm guessing it's because people are sick and tired of being commodified, of having their personal information commodified. But we'll read the article. I'm coming in fresh. We'll see. Centralized communication platforms prove to be an easily identifiable weakness in activist movements. Okay, interesting. Cool. The Russian government has cracked down on foreign social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, banning them for extremist activists. For protesters, activists, and local civilians, these actions have resulted in a significant barrier to communication with the outside world. There you go. Okay, interesting. Furthermore, they have also raised the question of just how easy a target these apps are for state authorities. With citizens unable to access these platforms, they have little choice but to flee to the next best, still active platforms. However, it isn't just Russian activists who have taken to alternatives. Consider, for example, Telegram. If you're in the DeFi space, you probably know about, well, maybe not DeFi. If you're in the crypto space, you know quite a lot about Telegram, probably. It's a cloud-based instant messaging service that has quickly become a place for sharing war footage, and other content that may have otherwise been blocked on platforms like Instagram or Twitter. I don't know about the whole war footage thing. I use not Instagram. I use Telegram for there's all these Telegram shilling groups and stuff like that. Interesting, cool. Not to mention that even these platforms, which are available to citizens now, have no guarantee of being free from bans by authorities. In this event, users will have no choice but to turn to quote-unquote homemade alternatives, homebrew alternatives developed locally. The debate between freedom and control is not a new one. Boy, how. With current world conditions only being one example of when these dichotomies exist head-to-head. Previously, this debate was introduced with the internet's provision of digital freedom being taken away with big tech using metadata for profit-making opportunities. That's exactly what I'm on about. They commodified people. And people don't like feeling like the product. People don't like feeling like the product. This is why this whole Web3 thing happened in the first place. Profit-making opportunities and concerns around governments using the same data to keep an eye on their citizens. The result is that privacy and freedom of speech will never be guaranteed. It never will. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Not with today's Web2 foundation. Not with the read-write interactive and that's it. It needs to be read-write interactive, trust verifiable. We need to have that. The battle between freedom and control is still going on as the world sneaks out new methods to empower individual sovereignty. For this reason, movements will always have an easily targeted weakness, and protest activities will still face barriers as long as they rely on centralized social media platforms. So yeah, it's a question of freedom versus security. That's what it is. Freedom versus control, because security is the operating kind of word, the operative word for control. People say, we want to make sure you're secure. We want to make sure you're safe. And that's why we want to control where you go, what you see, what you buy, what you eat, what you say, what you think. If they could, they would. But yeah, naturally this calls to, for example, so movements will also always have an easily targetable weakness. So protest activities, if the government does not approve of whatever you're protesting, if you're protesting the government themselves, boom, how do you mobilize? How do you communicate? How do you get together and honestly, guys, if nothing scares people with power more than a big group of intelligent people moving in the same direction. That's literally all. If everyone in my generation became politically aware and politically educated, the world would look very nice in about 5 years. Very, very nice. Literally, that's all it takes. But it doesn't happen, and these kinds of things are why. This is one of the reasons. So this calls to the situation that occurred when the Nigerian government banned Twitter to help protect their people from anti-government political activity. Effectively, this action only stifled activities and restricted citizens' ability to communicate and to organize, keyword, freely. As a result, social movements are now straying away from having a single leader. What are they doing? They're decentralizing, taking power away from one person and dispersing power among the people. A decentralized approach, right? Seen in movements like the Extinction Rebellion and Occupy Wall Street, two of the biggest. And why are they two of the biggest that you hear about? It's because they're organizing well, right? They're communicating and organizing well. I mean, it's probably not nice to have paint thrown on you or have your commute to work kind of stopped because of protesters, but bruh, I mean, they're free to do what they want. They are as free as you are to express themselves. This concept of giving power back to the people is far from new. With the introduction of the internet and mobile devices, power is put directly, like I said, smartphones in our hands, basically supercomputers in our pockets. Anyone can record, you can create content like that and disperse it like that. Power is effectively disseminated to the world, enabling even the citizen with the smallest voice to make the biggest impact. Therefore, rather than being quote-unquote leaderless, movements towards a decentralized structure, you're seeing this with businesses too. Think about a DAO, think about a decentralized sort of autonomous organization. It's the same thing. It's quote-unquote leaderless. But what does that mean? Completely trust verifiable. And everyone, it's not limited, right? It's not limited, basically. Making privacy possible. A lot of really interesting stuff. But I do recognize that we have run out of time for this episode, so I do apologize, guys. What we will do is we will put a pin in this conversation for today, and we'll pick it up. We'll pick it back up tomorrow. We'll whenever I see you guys next time, we'll pick this conversation back up. We'll talk mass adoption. We'll talk security versus control. But like I said, do let me know what your opinion on this is. If you're on YouTube, put a comment down here and tell me what you think about that European Commission thing. Do you think Christine is just off on a mad tangent? Or do you think she has a point? What do you think about this decentralized approach to organization and mobilization with activist movements and stuff like that? What do you think about Tether? What do you think about the pesos-backed stablecoin that Tether is doing now? Leave your opinions down below. Leave a like if you liked, a dislike if you disliked. Why not? And yeah, this has been Brooklyn, BKLY and the God, or Dharma, or whatever you want to call me. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take care. Dharma out. Bye-bye.